Okay, so real briefly in this video, I'm going to go over geometric means and the implications algebraically and geometrically. And I mean, the two kind of coincide pretty well. Um, so, first off, what do they mean geometrically? So in class, you would actually draw this out and see for yourself, but we're just going to, trust that everything is to scale. That said, um, first, we're going to find the length of x, right? So that would be this segment here. I'll tell you what, I guess that's a bad color to use right here. So we're talking about this segment here. So that is the length of our altitude is what x is, right? So that being our altitude, um, basically that means we've got a right triangle being formed right here. I'll outline this all in pink like that. So this guy is 37 degrees. Our hypotenuse would be 16 centimeters. This side is unknown, right? And the altitude obviously is unknown, okay? But that means this angle is 53 degrees because this guy here is 90. So what that means is we have matching angles, right? So namely 53, 37, and of course this 90-degree angle here, right? So because we have matching angles, we can use proportionality here, right? So that means if I draw the original triangle as is, right? So the long leg is 16 centimeters. Okay, the short leg is 12 centimeters. And our hypotenuse would be 20 centimeters, right? So from this, I get a nice cute proportion that I can use to find the missing side P and X on our pink triangle, right? So first, let's use it to find the missing altitude here. Okay, so all we're going to relate is hypotenuse to short leg is as hypotenuse is to short leg. So right here and right here. So 16 is to X as 20 is to 12. And I can go ahead and reduce 20 over 12 by 4. That's going to give me 5 over 3. That gives me much friendlier numbers to use. So then that means that we have 48 when we cross multiply is equal to 5x. Divide by 5. Right, and off the top of my head, not sure what that decimal is going to be. 48 over 5. So we get 9.6 is going to be the length of our missing altitude here. It's about 9.6 centimeters. Okay, so now that we have that, well, let's look now for our missing uh, side P, right? So P right here, well, that's the same side length here on our pink triangle, right? And we can use, so now that we know that this is 9.6, we can use the Pythagorean theorem or we can use proportionality again, namely hypotenuses to long leg as hypotenuses to long leg. That's what we'll go ahead and do. So I'm going to say P is to 16, so that's long leg to hypotenuse. And likewise, long leg to hypotenuse. Okay, and we can go ahead and reduce that by 4 again, so 4 over 5. We're going to end up with P is 64 over 5 after we do the cross multiplication, which is, as a decimal, 64 over 5, 12.8. Okay, so this missing side right here is 12.8 centimeters. Okay, and now by proxy, we can also figure out what Q is just by using, plain old subtraction. If the full side length is 20, right, I can just do 20 minus what we got for P just now, the 12.8, and therefore Q must be 7.2 centimeters. Okay, so what we're going to do now is assess the validity of this proportion here. And I'll do that in running out of colors. I'll do that in yellow. Okay, so the validity of x is to q as p is to x. So does that work, right? So x was our altitude. So we're going to say x, right, is to q. So that's the 7.2 as p, so that's the 12.8, is to x again, 9.6. Okay, so we're looking for that algebraic identity that's supposed to happen, right? So that means 9.6 times itself, so 9.6 squared, basically. So we end up with 92.16. Is that in fact equal to 7.2 times 12.8? 7.2 times 12.8. And holy dog crap, we get the exact same number again, 92.16. So this is valid. This is a true statement, right? And I'm getting ahead of myself. So to answer EQ1, okay, a geometric mean geometrically is simply the altitude of a right triangle. Okay, and number 4 here that we just did, where we found this algebraic identity with this proportion here, gives us our answer to EQ2. So algebraically speaking is the altitude of a right triangle is to the longer segment right here, as the shorter segment, Q, is to the altitude, right? Or you can say, if we go ahead and cross multiply this out, x squared equals p times q. Or you can go on even further to say that x equals the square root of p times q. Okay, so algebraically speaking, geometric means are all of these things. Okay, it's this proportion, it's this quadratic, and it's this square root. Okay, so that's all for this video. Obviously, if you need anything, shoot me an email or come see me in class. Goodbye.